Hello everyone, and welcome to another one of our videos. Today I'm going to be kicking off a little short series that I'm going to be doing about upgrading this 2010 5.1 Mac Pro. This is my video editing computer. It currently has an 8-core configuration, 20 gigabytes of RAM, and an AMD HD 5770 video card. The storage has already been upgraded. It has a 1 terabyte hard drive and has a couple SSDs. But what I'm doing is bringing this up to the highest specification possible for this computer, because the parts for these things have become so cheap in recent years that I figured why not? In order to extend the life of a computer a little bit longer, it makes sense with how inexpensive the parts have become. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how you can max out, or close to max out, the specifications on these computers, and today's video is going to be starting that process with the RAM. So that's one part that I'm not going to be maxing out. I believe these computers can handle a total of 128 gigabytes of RAM at their absolute maximum capacity. I'm not going to be going that high. I'm going to be going to 64 gigabytes. Like I said, it currently has 20 gigabytes. And this RAM, this ECC DDR3 memory, has become very, very cheap in recent years. A lot of this gets pulled out of servers that are decommissioned, and I was able to snag this 64 gig set for just slightly over $40 on eBay. So it's all tested and working RAM, but with that said, I'm not going to pull out the CPU tray and swap both the CPUs and the RAM at the same time, just so if a problem does come up, I know where that problem is isolated to. So this computer right now, in its current state, is fully functioning. I'm going to swap out the RAM, boot it up, make sure everything's recognized, make sure everything functions properly, run some stress tests on it, and then we'll go ahead and move on to more upgrades in future videos. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to pull the CPU tray out after opening up the computer, how to pull old RAM sticks out, and how to put new ones in. It's going to be really basic, but for somebody who's never done this before, it's definitely going to be worth watching. Alrighty, so the first step in upgrading anything inside this computer is opening it up. On these Mac Pros, it's really, really simple, a lot simpler than a lot of Windows computers. All you have to do is flip this little latch right here, and in the side panel, we'll just pull off and lift off. And from there, you have complete and utter access to the inside. So what I'm going to do, set the side panel down. I'm going to rotate the camera a little bit and the computer in order to get you a better view, and I'll show you how to pull out the CPU tray and swap out the RAM. Okay, now that I have the computer tower flipped around, you can see that we have the CPU tray down here. Now you can see the RAM right here for one of the CPUs, and the RAM for the other CPU is back behind the CPU itself, which is why you need to remove the whole CPU tray. It's very, very easy to do on this computer. There's two little latches right here, sort of handles, and there's a textured portion on the outside of each one of these. So all you have to do is push each one of those, pull them out simultaneously to unlatch the CPU tray's connector, and at that point you can just slide the whole CPU tray out of the computer and set it on an appropriate work surface. So again, I'm going to have to reposition the camera in order to show you what I'm doing to the components. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show you how to swap out the RAM. You can see I have the CPU tray out and set on the countertop now. You can see I have 4 sticks of RAM over here, and for the other CPU, there's 4 sticks of RAM right here. So in order to remove each stick, all you need to do is find the 2 tabs on either side and push them down and out, and the RAM stick will pop up and you can lift it out. So what I'm going to do is repeat that process across all of these, and I'm going to show you how to reinstall your new sticks of RAM. Alrighty, I have all of the RAM out of this board now, and I'm ready to start reinstalling or installing the new sticks. So what I'm going to be doing is populating each slot, each of the 8 slots, with an 8 gigabyte stick for a total of 64 gigs. In order to install the RAM, all you need to do is line up the keyway. You have a short side and a long side of contacts. You line up the keyway, align the RAM within the slot, and push down until it clicks into place. And you've installed 1 stick of RAM. I'm going to repeat that 7 more times, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to throw the CPU tray back into the computer, put the side panel back on, and I'll fire it up and we'll see what happens. And now that we have all of our new RAM installed, we're ready to throw this CPU tray back into the computer. So basically what happens whenever you put this back in is it's going to slide in onto these studs, and the connector on the board itself is going to connect to that very large mini multi-pin connector in there. So all you need to do is get this thing guide it into place. Ease it in there. Once you've got it lined up there, where the latches start to come in, all you need to do is push the latches, and there you go. It's latched into place. Should be ready to rock. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the side panel on, which is just the reverse of taking it off. Basically, you set it down into place into this groove at the bottom of the case, and you fold it up, flip the latch back shut like that, and we will be ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, plug the computer in, and see what happens. All right, so I have the computer booted up now. Everything worked just fine. Just a note, if you're doing this on your own computer, you're probably going to turn it on, and it's not going to do its normal bong sound for a decent amount of time, at least compared to the normal amount of time it takes to do that whenever it's booting up, which is essentially whenever it makes that sound, it's past its post test. It has to detect the new memory. It has to make sure everything's functioning properly. So it's going to take a while. If you see a flashing power light on your computer, you know something's probably wrong. But as long as the white power light on the front stays lit, solid, then you should be good to go as long as it makes that sound. So you can see I have 64 gigabytes of RAM showing. All 4 slots for each CPU are populated with an 8 gigabyte module. You might be able to see on the screen it says that they are 800 megahertz DDR3 ECC memory modules. These are actually 1333 megahertz modules, but because they're quad rank modules and they're installed all 8, there's RAM installed in all 8 slots, so 4 per CPU, it throttles that speed down to 800 megahertz. If you want the full speed, if I decide I want the full speed in the future, all I have to do is take out 2 of those modules and I'll have 48 gigabytes of memory and the full 1333 megahertz speed that the new CPUs that I'm going to be putting on the computer will support. So, really, really simple upgrade. Super easy, straightforward, everything worked out exactly as expected. Should work out the same for you as long as you're buying the correct memory. You just have to make sure you do your due diligence whenever you're buying the memory. And with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll take a look at the next video, which is going to be upgrading the CPUs. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.